Well, spring is around the corner, and I guess you're thinking about planting a vegetable garden. The first place you want to go is to the store and pick up some supplies so you can start seeds indoors. I picked up from the dollar store just a dish pan to use to start the seeds. At the hardware store or the nursery supply store, pick up a bag of seed starter mix. There's a lot of different brands, but the seed starter mix is especially made for your seeds to sprout and grow. You'll need packets of seeds, of course. I'm growing cabbage, broccoli, and eggplant today. Later on, in about 2 weeks, I'll start tomatoes and peppers and other vegetables that will go out later in the year. The broccoli and cabbage can be planted about 2 weeks before the last frost is expected. So here in Pennsylvania, that's around the end of April where I live. I also prepared tags, markers for each of the rows I'm going to plant of seeds so I know what is growing, and the tags were made using an old Venetian blind cut into pieces, and I used pencil so I can actually erase it, make changes. But each marker lists what's growing, cabbage, the variety, and I also put on there how many days till harvest that it states on the back of the packet, and I also listed when I want to plant them outdoors, somewhere around the end of April. So each of those are prepared. You can also use other items to mark your rows. You could use just plasticware and then use a permanent marker and mark on there. There's a lot of little things, popsicle sticks, whatever you have on hand. So we can keep it inexpensive. So I'm going to put seed starter mix into the pan and moisten it. Now you don't want it too wet, because if it's too wet, your seeds will either not sprout at all because it's too wet, or they'll sprout and then die from damping off disease. So I just gradually add water a little at a time and mix it, because when you get your soil, it is dry, your seed starter mix. I'm not going to make it too moist, because I think I'm going to put some more in here. Yep, that's damp. I'm going to add some more. I need to have enough for the roots to grow in. Oops, don't want to get my seeds all wet. I can feel the moisture. I do get my hands all dirty when I plant, inside or out. So I'm not going to press it down. I don't want to squeeze out any of those nice air spaces and air pockets, because that's where the roots are going to go, into those air spaces. So let's start with one of the seeds. This is the cabbage. I have the marker for this one, and I'll put it in. And I'll just make a little straight row across. You could go the opposite direction if you want a longer row. I don't plant too many at a time, because later what I'll do is plant some outdoors directly in the soil as well, so I can have crops coming in at different times throughout. And you just drop your seed in there. I always put a little extra in, because what I'll do is I'll thin them out to the healthiest looking one. So I put a little extra in there. Just cover them very lightly. They don't need very much soil on top. And that's my first row, and it is labeled. Now I'm going to plant eggplant. There aren't as many seeds in here. This is from last year. If you're planting old seeds, you want to plant twice as many, because the germination rate can go down as you hold seeds. I used all of those in that pack. Let's cover them up. One more row in this box. As you can see, this box will hold 4 rows. There need to have enough space between the rows, because when the plant grows and it gets 2 leaves, those are your seed leaves. Then this next set of leaves is called the true leaves. And what I do at that time, when it has the second set of leaves, is I dig it out carefully, trying to get all the roots, and I transplant them into peat pots. This isn't a peat pot, but as an example, you transplant it into another pot with soil, and they will continue to grow. All right, now they're planted, they're marked. I need to water them, so I'm using a spray bottle. That way I don't get it overly moist. And then what you can do is every other day you can just check the moisture level in your box. But you have to have some moisture or the seed won't sprout either. Planted. Now, cover it until they sprout. Keep the moisture in and the heat. And I'm going to secure it with a couple of clothespins on the corners. And keep it in, once these are planted, keep them in a warm location, 70 to 75 degrees. No colder than 70. You need to have that 75 degrees, maybe even up to 80, to have them sprout. Check it every couple days. Check for moisture. You might see moisture build up on the inside of the plastic. If it gets to where it's going to condense and drip, you have too much moisture. Take the top off, wipe the top, let it air out, because too much moisture isn't good either. Once these sprout, I have a fluorescent light. Once they sprout, I don't have good window to place my plants in with a full sun, so I will use this fluorescent light. So once they sprout, they do need light. So I'll put this fluorescent light over top in that manner. And I can raise and lower this on this contraption. You could also hang something in your basement as well, but don't put them in any cold area until they've got your second leaves and you transplant them. It's always good to keep a record of your gardening. So I have a calendar book, and I write today is February 20th. So in here I wrote that I'm planting seeds of cabbage, broccoli, and eggplant. And then I can even make a note when they sprout, when I plant them outdoors, but I have records for the next time around. If something goes wrong, I can make a record to remember to correct it. I think that's it. I don't know if I missed anything, so good luck and go and start some seeds in your house today. Bye.